I want to bring in Robert Sherman now. He is live in Brownsville. It's right there, the border town across from Matamoros. What are you hearing from law enforcement there as this news starts to pour in?
Right, yeah, this is a huge development here, Marni, with these 4 Americans being found. Again, 2 of them dead, 1 unharmed, but 1 of them injured as well. Have to tell you this is that from the folks that we've been speaking with, this is a severe shock. It's important to note that we talk about the dangers of Mexico, especially in the state of Tamaulipas right behind us, and that there's notorious cartel activity and organized crime activity there. And you take a look at, what has been happening in Mexico. Yes, there's these issues of violence, but when we speak with folks who are very close to this, they say it's very rare for American citizens, especially those with no relation to organized crime in Mexico, to be caught in the crossfire of all of this, which is why a lot of people here are so shocked. And the big reason for that, Marni, is not because of any special protections that Americans might have, but purely for the business interests of organized criminals in Mexico. They don't want the added attention. They do not want the United States federal government to have any added reason in order to pour more of an effort into going after criminal activity in Mexico down here. So this is why this is so typically rare. And I have to tell you, Marni, is that, of course, our own Blake Berman was pressing the White House the other day on naming cartel organizations, terrorist groups. The jury's still out if this is cartel activity here. But if it was, Marni, there's definitely going to be more pressure on Washington in order to be doing more about this, because as we have seen in the past, over the past couple of years, there's been a hesitation for the U.S. federal government to go after cartel organizations this much because of diplomatic issues, because you don't want to strain any relations with Mexico. Keep in mind that Mexico is one of our top 3 trade partners, and there's concern that that could be fragmented if the United States pursues these criminal activities a little bit too severely. But now you have an issue here of what has happened here today is that there will surely be more pressure. And you're already starting to hear more calls on all of this as well. So there's a long way to go in this investigation. We're just getting to the initial information coming out. But already there's definitely going to be some certain calls for more action to be coming out of this, Marni.
Right, and confirming the identities of the 4 Americans who were kidnapped, 2 of which are now dead. How far into the town of Matamoros did this altercation, this shootout happen across the border from where you are, Robert?
Not far at all. You keep in mind is that, again, Tamaulipas, the state is right behind us. Matamoros is quite literally just a couple hundred yards beyond the Rio Grande behind us. So you see the way these border communities operate down here, Marni. Even with all this news happening, this border crossing has not slowed down at all. There are thousands of people who go back and forth on a daily basis. But so you have the communities of Matamoros and Tamaulipas running right up against Brownsville, Texas here. And still, you have all these cars coming in and out, back and forth here. It just goes to show that this is a key part of the way of life down here in a lot of these border communities. And this is just the way things are. But all these communities run up close together, Marni.
Right. And you mentioned this a little bit earlier, Robert, but talk about some of the reasons that people are crossing the border there. Is it for work? Is it for medical reasons? What are some of the things that people cite as worth the risk to cross the border and go into Mexico from Brownsville?
Right. You put that into context there. If your team can put back up the travel advisory list here in the country of Mexico, there are 6 states that currently have a level 4 travel advisory in place, which is a do not travel to this area, according to the State Department. One of them is the region that is right behind us here. So it's easy to sit at home and say, well, just don't go to Mexico. There are people in this community, though, who their entire livelihoods are dependent upon crossing that border every day. There are people who live in Mexico and commute to the United States every day. There are Americans whose businesses completely rely upon doing business in Mexico as well. There's a reason that people call these border communities sister cities. It's because they have a symbiotic relationship. Both sides really do heavily rely upon one another. In this case here, the president of Mexico alluded to yesterday that in all likelihood, these 4 Americans traveled into Mexico for, he said, medicine. It sounds more like medical procedures to be done over there.